Look at this. Look at the positioning of the actors here. New Kate kneeling down, mouth open, tongue hanging out, right next to Alice's crotch. Now, the show did throw out that tease recently that Alice might want to do the boyfriend-girlfriend thing with her sister, but was this a coincidence? Was it? Okay, just 2 more to go. Let's do this. The episode begins on modeling photos of new Kate. Modeling photos. Kate is in a plane crash, gets horribly burned, goes through months of traumatic brainwashing, and the result is she loses all her gross tattoos, suddenly has the body of a woman for the first time in her life, and is now a supermodel. This is whatever the opposite of poetic justice is. Anyway, Batwoman's beating up some dude. She's looking for new Kate and Black Mask, but he doesn't know where they are. So Ryan sprays perfume in his face until he says that Black Mask has gone underground. Why? There was no reason to. His secret identity is still intact. In the last episode, he proved he has the means to bury any evidence to keep it that way. Meanwhile, his daughter's modeling career has really taken off, but he's gone underground. Because the plot says so. Over in the Batcave, Team Batwoman can't find new Kate anywhere, and they couldn't just call her modeling agency because I don't know, maybe the phones are out or something. But the plot saves them from their own incompetence when new Kate shows up and makes a scene at the gay bar. The big cliffhanger from last week was them losing Kate, and this week she falls into their lap 3 minutes into the episode. It's as if cliffhangers mean absolutely f***ing nothing. So they haul new Kate's drunk ass back to the apartment. Mary begrudgingly admits that they might need Alice's help with this, and then Mary apparently steps into a time warp because she just appears in Alice's abandoned subway car right after Alice found Ocean dead. I don't give nearly enough of a shit to bother pointing out all the things that are wrong with that logistically, not to mention time-wise, so I'll just say this. How in the blue did Mary know where to find Alice? When did she learn that this is where Alice likes to hang out? How did she know that Alice would be there right now? Very basic questions that the writers just never bothered to ask themselves. And after 2 seasons of this trash, I'd be shocked if it had been any other way. So Mary the med student magically knows that Ocean's gone and there's nothing she can do for him without even taking a look at him first. She didn't come within 10 feet of the guy. And because the writers think Mary is a saint who can do no wrong, she sympathizes with Alice because she wouldn't wish this kind of pain on anyone. Alice, the mass murderer, gets sympathy, but Jacob gets shit on when literally all he wanted was for Mary to not break the law. Of course. So Mary tells Alice that they found Kate, she thanks Alice for saving Kate, and then Mary just leaves. Without doing the very thing that she came to do, which is bring Alice to Kate so Alice can help undo Kate's brainwashing. Didn't even tell Alice about it. She just said, sorry about your dead boyfriend, that's gotta suck. Thanked her, and left. If you weren't going to try to get her to come back with you, why did you even go looking for her in the first place? Luke thinks they might be able to jog new Kate's memory with those journals Kate Classic used to keep. Ryan thinks it won't be that easy, but what do any of them really know about undoing brainwashing anyway? Let's just throw some shit at the wall here. Upon receiving the journals, new Kate says that she's starting to remember why her and Luke were friends. Remember implies that they were friends in the first place, which is kind of sketchy, but okay. And then she changes her shirt right in front of him, which makes Luke all flustered because, unlike Kate Classic, new Kate has the body of a woman, and I guess Luke hasn't seen very many of those. By the way, you know that fancy new personality Luke was sporting last week? That's gone now. He's been reset back to 0 like it never even happened. Shocking, right? Then Luke gives new Kate the keys to Kate Classic's motorcycle, and she goes joyriding. Alone. They literally just found her after she went missing, and now they're letting her go riding by herself, with no one coming along to make sure the brainwashing victim doesn't, I don't know, forget who she is or relapse into her other personality. They aren't worried that she might just decide not to come back or anything. My god, this show is stupid. And well, wouldn't you know it, guys, she goes straight to Roman Sionis. If Team Batwoman had exercised even one molecule of common sense, this could have been easily avoided, but no. No, she goes right back to Roman, and looks like when she acted as if Kate Classic was reasserting herself, she was just screwing with everybody. Which I like, because that means the window for her to do some really f***ed up shit that she'll be haunted by when Kate Classic inevitably does return is still open. So there's still a chance, however unlikely, that this story might not be completely worthless. Will she actually do anything like that? Doubtful, but at least it's still on the table. She gives Roman the journals, so if he didn't know that Kate and Ryan were Batwoman before, he does now, and Sophia says that new Kate now has her permission to bring this city to its knees. Yeah, right. Back at the apartment, Ryan's getting ready to move out, since she assumes Kate'll be moving back in, and that huge loft couldn't possibly hold 3 people. Sophie walks in all dressed up in the hopes of getting new Kate's motor running, and she offers to let Ryan crash on her couch, but Ryan plans to go back to living in her van, even though she's been gainfully employed and living rent-free for months, and could certainly afford to get an apartment somewhere by now. But the van sounds like a better idea to her, because she feels like she has to give everything back now that Kate's returned, because never in comics history has there ever been more than one member of the Bat family operating at a time. Wait, before she takes off though, Sophie mentions that word on the street is Black Mask has begun recruiting ex-Crows. Cut to said ex-Crows getting a recruitment speech from Roman Sionis. Not Black Mask, but Roman Sionis. Secret identity, what the f*** is that? He basically offers them lots of guns and free reign to do whatever with them, and that's all they need to hear. And only then does Roman put his black mask on. What's the damn point when all these people just saw who you are without the mask? I don't know. Tavarov's there. You know, that guy awaiting trial for assault, kidnapping, and attempted murder. Though I'm willing to bet that little detail is being swept under the rug as we speak. He's not too sure about being a cog in another machine, but Roman's like, what if I told you you could be the machine? What does that mean? Beats me. The writers probably don't even know themselves. Cut to some office drone burning the midnight oil. The lights go out. Ryan scares him because he's Roman's accountant or something, and he's not talking, but he doesn't have to. The lights come back on, and his computer is gone. Cut to Ryan returning to the Batcave, where she sees everybody in Bruce's office on the security camera, with new Kate telling Luke and Mary how she can't wait to be back in the suit protecting Gotham again. Again? When the hell was she protecting it before? Given all the time she let criminals go free when she could have easily captured them, I'd argue that Kate did more damage to Gotham than Black Mask ever has. Hearing that Kate wants to be back in the Batsuit has Ryan all demoralized, so she goes to crash in her van and talk to the pot that her potted plant used to be in. Nothing pathetic about this at all, though credit to the van, it is still canonically faster than the Batmobile. She muses that maybe the reason she kept saying Kate wasn't ready was really just because Ryan wasn't ready to leave, and I don't know why Ryan and Kate both being costume crime fighters at the same time was never a possibility, but it wasn't. For some reason. Anyway, since she still has the accountant's computer, she figures she might as well check that out. But just as she starts doing this, the cops show up and arrest her for being in possession of the evidence that they just planted on her. A bunch of syringes. Not snakebite, mind you, not drugs of any kind, just empty syringes, which you could probably buy at any medical supply store over the counter. So I have no clue how you can bust her for that when there's no drugs, or why they're focusing on this instead of the stolen laptop, which Ryan could be legitimately arrested for without any funny business. But I guess the point of this scene is not to make any kind of sense. It's that, once again, Ryan is being unfairly victimized by a broken system because the police are evil, and somehow not because she screwed herself over, despite what, you know, reality is telling us. Cut to the beach where Alice is spreading Ocean's ashes. This scene is f***ing laughable. They try to tug on the heartstrings, playing sad music with Alice getting all emotional. Goodbye, my love! Off. All we ever saw of their relationship was them making out a couple times, banging once, and being super dysfunctional the rest of the time, which included them trying to kill each other on more than one occasion, but now we're supposed to think they were soulmates or some shit? Kiss my ass. And then Sophia shows up. Sure, why not? Now that the boyfriend's finally out of the picture, she figures she can just swoop in and have Alice all to herself, because her having the boyfriend bumped off couldn't possibly get in the way of that. And then we cut to the GCPD parking lot. The car carrying Ryan rolls up, the cops get out, and Roman Sionis gets in. Apparently, there isn't a single honest cop in this entire department. He tries to recruit Ryan since they're kind of alike in that they both wear masks to right the wrongs that were done to them, and why should Ryan be the only masked vigilante in town who gets to be the arbiter of justice? Why shouldn't everyone have the same opportunity? And Ryan's response is something else. Here's what she says. It feels good to fight for people who are powerless, people trapped by a broken system. People like your daughter. I know what happened to her. How she was assaulted. How the crows covered it up and made her look crazy and threw her in Arkham where she suffered and died. And I'm sure it's not what the writers were going for here, but I find it funny that the villain is the one talking about everybody having equal opportunities, while Ryan's viewpoint is that the system is broken because it doesn't favor the people she wants it to. I also find it funny that Ryan just assumes that Circe Sionis was innocent of all wrongdoing and was only put in Arkham because she was framed, as if the thought that a woman capable of gouging a man's eyes out might just be in a mental asylum because she's guilty and batshit insane never even occurred to her. And knowing what we now know about Circe Sionis, does anyone really think that's not exactly what happened? So Ryan says that Roman's dishonoring the memory of his psychotic eye-gouging daughter, but he's not taking advice from a repeat drug offender, and Ryan won't live to see a judge anyway, so it. Over at the Batcave, Luke and Mary find out Ryan was arrested, and they need all hands on deck, so Mary starts wondering where Kate is. And Kate's out with Sophie right now, so Sophie can profess her undying love for the brainwashing victim who still doesn't recognize her own face in the mirror. I'm sure that won't be confusing for said victim at all. And new Kate's reading the letter that Kate Classic wrote to Sophie before she died. Lying to you was the hardest thing I've ever done, blah blah. Sophie laments that she didn't have time to tell Kate her feelings before she disappeared. New Kate is glad she doesn't have to lie to Sophie anymore. Who the hell cares? Then Sophie gets a text that Ryan's been arrested. So they go to the cave and find out what's what. There's about 50 cops between them and Ryan, and they don't know which cops are crooked and which ones aren't. Based on what we've seen, I'd say that ratio is about 50-0. So the plan, and I use that word loosely, is for Kate to save Ryan by suiting up as Batwoman again, even though the brainwashing victim has given them exactly zero indication that she's mentally fit enough to handle something like this, even though new Kate is several inches taller than Kate Classic and the suit won't fit her anymore. Yes, I am gonna keep pointing that out. You. So Mary hands her the suit? Sophie says she's going in with her, and then new Kate grabs a tranquilizer gun off the wall and tranks everybody, including Sophie. I want you to know, she says, lying to you was the easiest thing I've ever done. Ha ha. A few episodes ago, I said that if you absolutely had to use Kate, pointing her like a gun at other characters that pissed me off was not the worst way to do it. And I still feel that way. And yeah, I still despise Kate with a goddamn passion, but I will admit, there's something satisfying about her making the rest of these clowns look stupid. Not that such a thing is that difficult to pull off. Finally, after 2 whole seasons, their unconditional worship of the paragon of amazingness, Kate Kane, has blown up in their faces. And you know what? Good. They've got no one to blame but themselves for this shit. And I'd like to think that this will force them to smarten up, but I'm pretty sure we all know better than that. Cut to Ryan talking to someone. I think it's her caseworker from the beginning of the season. The caseworker's all pissed off because Ryan was less than a week from her parole board review and getting her life back, and now that's all shot to hell and she's looking at hard time. Again. Ryan tries to explain what's going on here, but as usual, her version of events is a little screwy. I'm being set up, she whines. Yeah, about that. You're actually not, Ryan. You were rightfully caught in possession of stolen property that you stole. And yeah, they planted other stuff on you, but the funny thing is, they didn't even have to do that, because you were already guilty of theft, which is an arrestable offense. So shut up. Ryan continues. Black Mask owns the police. I'm not getting out of this building alive. And doesn't it seem weird to you that all these cops and guards and firepower and SWAT team are all for a girl with empty snakebite injectors? You don't think there's anything suspect about that? The caseworker's still not buying it, so Ryan says the magic words, "I'm Batwoman." And abracadabra, that's all the convincing she needed. Some cops come in to take Ryan away, but the caseworker suddenly thinks Ryan's being railroaded and wants to talk to the judge. So the cops, beacons of subtlety that they are, pull a gun and try to kill her in the middle of a police station. So yeah, the entire police department are corrupt monsters, just like the Crows were. How f***ing original. Ryan fights off 5 armed cops single-handedly. Then the caseworker gives Ryan her ID badge that should get Ryan out of the parking lot, and Ryan escapes, leaving the caseworker behind, even though she was almost murdered in this room 30 seconds earlier, and now there's nothing stopping any of the other corrupt cops in the building from walking in and finishing the job. So yeah, she's a dead woman. Good job, Ryan. Back at the beach, Sophia is like, "Hey look, I only had your boyfriend killed because you burned up all my Deus Ex Machina flowers. So, now we're even. Bygones?" Also, she's here to save Alice because a storm is coming to Gotham, and Sophia is the only place Alice can seek shelter, and that means exactly all. How many times in the last 2 seasons have we heard this type of shit? For a while it seemed like there were ominous warnings about Alice planning something big every other week, and nothing ever happened with that. So shove your storm warnings up your asshole and just cut to the damn chase already, because we all know what this is really about. In the Batcave, Luke, Mary, and Sophie wake up locked in the elevator, and Mary opines that new Kate not killing them means that maybe there's still some of Kate Classic in there. Oh, f*** off, Mary. Just right the hell off. And while they're refusing to admit that Kate is a goddamn psychopath now, Kate's having a look around the cave. She finds an old conference room, a storeroom with what looks like the Batwing helmet under a sheet. Literally all the foreshadowing we get for that, by the way. And finally, she finds a fridge with a big biohazard sign on it. And inside, among other things, is a plant something or other. Ryan walks in at this point, and the others tell her that new Kate was just pretending to be Kate Classic the whole time. Wait. So you're saying that the brainwashing victim, who had just endured months of unimaginable physical and psychological trauma, was not mentally stable? Wow, who could have seen that coming? Then new Kate gets the jump on Ryan with a crossbow, and Ryan runs for cover. Back to Alice and Sophia, with Sophia, after all this time, still being totally DTS, and proclaiming that she wants Alice to rejoin her on Coriana, which will soon be lush with the Deus Ex Machina flowers once again, thanks to a cutting from one of Poison Ivy's vines, which Circe Sionis was all too eager to procure for her after Sophia f***ed over the guy who wronged her, along with the men who condemned her to Arkham. Would those be the ex-Crows who are now working for Black Mask? Are they who she's talking about? Because those dudes are just fine right now. I don't know. So Alice is horrified to learn that she doesn't really have her sister back after all, and Sophia says that she's all Alice has now. And so desperately thirsty for Alice is Sophia that she doesn't for one moment consider that Alice's life is total shit, mostly because of her, and Alice might just hold a grudge about that. So Sophia goes in for a hug and gets stabbed with the Deus Ex Machina knife like a dumbass. For the quasi-big bad of Season 2, or one of them anyway, who was built up as some incredibly dangerous, cunning, master manipulator Ra's al Ghul stand-in or some shit, that is fucking embarrassing. Anyway, Alice says that she'll take the knife out once she gets her sister back, because killing Sophia would be no fun, so Alice plans on making her suffer. And remember, Sophia, Alice will only be making you suffer because she's hypnotized, which means no matter how much unspeakably horrible shit she does to you, it won't be her fault. Isn't it funny how that worked out? Back in the cave, Ryan's hiding, so new Kate uses Luke, Mary, and Sophie as target practice, which I tried not to enjoy too much. Ryan sneaks up behind her with a fire extinguisher. They fight. The others use the arrows new Kate shot at them to pry the elevator door open. Ryan's getting her ass kicked because she may be Batwoman, but her opponent is the paragon of amazingness, so she's totally outmatched. Ryan goes down, and new Kate gloats. Don't feel bad, Ryan. Kate wasn't strong enough to beat me either. Suck it, Kate. But Sophie has the crossbow now, so the fight ends before new Kate can finish Ryan off. But new Kate knows that Sophie won't shoot her, and she's right, because shooting to wound is just not a thing. this show. So new Kate picks up her duffel bag with the bat suit, all the bat weapons, and the contents of the biohazard fridge inside, and she just walks out. And Sophie could have tried shooting her in the leg or something, but she doesn't bother. Because Luke apologizes to Ryan because they were all so desperate to have Kate back that they never stopped to think that trusting a woman who'd recently had her own personality supplanted by the personality of a deranged lunatic might not have been the best idea, and Ryan was the only one who had second thoughts about it. That's what qualifies as intelligence on this show. Low f***ing bar. So now new Kate has the suit and the weapons, and none of them know what to do. Can't Luke just make more of that stuff? He's shown numerous times that he can make serious alterations to the batsuit in a matter of minutes, so cranking out a new suit shouldn't be that difficult for him, and the rest of the stuff was just gadgets. As long as you've got the schematics, which you must have, how hard could building new ones possibly be? I guess the X factor is that new Kate also made off with all the goodies Bruce confiscated from the villains he took down over the years, though who the hell knows what Black Mask plans to do with that stuff, with just one episode left before the season mercifully sputters out. And the episode comes to a close with new Kate taking apart the batsuit. They spent the entire first season telling us over and over and over again that the batsuit is made of the strongest material on f***ing Earth, but new Kate can pull it apart just like that because consistency is for losers. And then she takes the kryptonite and uses it to deface the bat logo, which I guess is supposed to be outrageous and unthinkable or something, but it's just the Batwoman logo, so who gives a rat's ass? All my usual complaints still apply about this episode, plus some new ones. The story was so stupid you could hardly believe it's real. Every single character is a goddamn idiot. The writers either don't remember what they previously wrote or just don't care, so continuity is non-existent. The original primary antagonist of the season is done away with like an absolute buffoon. We're 1 week away from the debut of Batwing, and that has been given no setup whatsoever. I mean, I think we've all been over this by now, but the one thing I did find kind of amusing here is that Kate is now being cast as the villain. Kate is, for all intents and purposes, the big bad of the show now. And holy shit, if there's a more perfect role for Kate Kane, I sure as hell couldn't tell you what it is. It took the writers 2 goddamn years to figure this out, but they've finally taken possibly the most loathsome, despicable character I've ever seen on a TV show and officially installed her as the bad guy. I mean, she's always been the true villain of Batwoman anyway, but now it's canonized. And as inconceivably dumb as this whole scenario has been from the start, there is some satisfaction to be gleaned from this. I don't know how long it's gonna last, and I 100% expect the writers to take whatever potential there is here and flush it down the shitter faster than you can blink. Hell, this might all be over by the next episode. But for just this one moment, Kate Kane is the ultimate villain of Batwoman. And I feel vindicated by that. It doesn't make the show any less terrible. It's still a goddamn disaster, but even a blind pig finds a truffle once in a while. 1 more episode to go, people. Just 1 more, and this season is finally, mercifully over. For real this time. I don't know how the hell they can possibly wrap all this shit up. My guess is they won't even try, and the finale will just be a giant clusterfuck of unresolved nonsense. A more fitting end to Batwoman Season 2 I cannot imagine. See you then. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment down below, ding that bell icon, and follow me on social media so you'll always know when I upload new stuff. I also have a live streaming channel now, the links are down there. Thumbs up the video, share, subscribe, make sure you're still subscribed, and I'll be back with more soon. So you guys take care, do all the YouTube things, and I'll see you next time. And tune in next week when we finally put the nail in Batwoman Season 2's coffin for good.